Hey, this is a solution to Scrabble from Problem Set 2 of CS50. But just having the solution isn't enough. Don't you want to know how to think this through? Well, let's get into it and maybe even try to go beyond the required solution. Before we write any code, let's understand what the problem is really asking us to do. I've created a flowchart that breaks the problem into small but meaningful steps. You can pause the video here and try to build your own solution or follow along as I walk through each step and show how it translates into code. Let's get started. The first step is to create a function which will receive an input and then validate the input. For this, let's create the function called getWord and initialize a string called word, and within a do loop, use the getString function that has been provided by CS50's library and prompt the player to input a word. We have to check if the input that we receive is not just a single letter and is not a blank. To do this, we are going to use the stdlength function that will let us find out the length of the word that has been inputted and see if the length of the word is less than or equal to 0. That is, if the user has inputted a blank or if he has given a single letter as the input. If that is a condition, we are going to prompt the user again to give us a proper input, and after doing so, just return the word, initialize the prototype of the function atop our code, and let's call our function. To use the stdlength function in our code, we need to include the string.h library. Now, the next step is to make a function that will break our word, that will break our input into its constituent letters. This is the word evaluator function that receives a string w as its input and runs a for loop inside it. The for loop is going to use the length of the string and is going to run as long as I is less than the length of the string. Now inside the for loop, we are going to initialize a character called letter that will be equal to each letter of the word, and we will try to print off each character. For the next step, we need to create a prototype of our function atop our code and call our function inside the main function. Let's pass on the value of player 1 as its input, and let's run our code. Make Scrabble, /Scrabble, hello Scrabble. No, I didn't put a \n here. That's alright, we know that it works. The next step is to figure out a way to find out the numerical position of each letter within the alphabet. So we need a method by which we can get every alphabet from A to Z and compare it with our letter to find the numerical position within the alphabets. Let's find out a way to print out every alphabet from A to Z. Let's delete this code, delete calling our function, and this is a method by which we can print out every alphabet from A to Z. We are declaring a character called alphabet and assigning the value of capital A to it. Inside a for loop, we are going to repeat the for loop 26 times, and we are going to print f the character alphabet, but for every iteration we are going to add 1 to it. Now let's see the result of our code. Make Scrabble, /Scrabble, there you have it. Every letter from A to Z is printed out. The next step is to use this idea to compare each letter of the string w and print out the numerical position of that letter. So let's initialize the char called letter is equal to wi, and let's copy this code from here and paste it over here. Let's change this I to h because there is already an I over there. Let's change I to h and delete this, create an if block and make it so that if the letter is equal to whatever the alphabet is, then we'll have to print f, print of I \n. We have to print the value of x, that is the numerical position of our letter within the alphabets. Let's see that let's declare our function over here. Let's call our function inside our main function word evaluator and pass on the value of player 1's input. Let's print f two things. Print f. Let's print f the character along with the let's print up the character letter along with its numerical position along the alphabets. Okay, let's run our code. H7. We have gotten the position of our first letter, but why are we not getting the position of every letter? Here, our output consists of only the numerical position of capital H. That is because in our code, we are comparing each letter with the capital alphabets. The code that we have written previously, if you remember its output, were all the letters A to Z in capital format. The code that we have written previously was to print out all of the capital letters. So here, each of our letters is being compared to capital letters, and the only capital letter in our input was capital H, and hence we have its numerical position. Now, we have to make it so that every letter in our word is compared. To do that, let's just convert every letter in our word to a capital letter. To do that, first we have to include another library called ctype.h. And here we'll be using a function from that library called toUpper that converts any character into a capital letter, into an uppercase letter. So let's run our code once more. /Scrabble. Here we can see the numerical position of each word that we have inputted, and we can see that each of our words, even though the input was of small letters, they were converted into capital letters. Now, let us improve our function such that it is able to assign points based on the numerical position. Let's make an array that consists of the points which are linked to each alphabet from A to Z. Now, you could get these points from CS50's website as you read through the problem. Now, inside this code, let us also declare another int called score and make it be equal to 0. Inside the if block, let's make a code such that the point value that is associated with the numerical position of our letter will be added on to score. As our final output, let's print out the value of score. %i score. Points and not point. Let's make it again. Player 1 is hello. Player 2 is world. 8. 8 is the score of player 1. Now, inside our main function, let's create two other variables called score1 and call word evaluator function on it. With player 1, score2, word evaluator with player 2. The next step is to create a comparison function that is going to compare the scores and declare a winner. As you can see, I have created a comparison function, and now let's run our code. There is another word evaluator player 1 and score. In our function, we have made it so that there are no outputs. Let's change it such that the output will be an int. Instead of printing out the score, let's return the score, return score, and change it over here such that the output will be an int. Let's call the function once more. /Scrabble question why player 1 wins. Now let's try a few variations. /Scrabble question with a question mark with a tie. Now let's call the check50 function. With this we have created the solution to our problem and we have passed check50. Now, let us look for a way to make it even better. Let's upgrade the solution by making it so that the players are prompted again if they enter a number or another character which is neither an alphabet nor a punctuation. How are we going to do this? We are going to use a for loop in order to iterate through every character of the word, and we are going to pass every character of the string through the isAlpha function and check if it is not an alphabet. We are going to check if it is not an alphabet. The isAlpha function is provided along with the ctype.h library. Within this, we are going to check if it is a punctuation or not. For this, we are going to use the isPunct function, which is also available from the ctype library. Now, if it is not an alphabet, but it is a punct, then nothing happens. But if it is not an alphabet and not a punctuation, then we trigger the getWord function again. That is, this function is triggered again. And we also break the continuation of this for loop, effectively breaking the continuation of the loop such that no word is returned and the function runs again, prompting the user once more to input a correct word. Now, let us check our code. I'm inputting a number 4 and it's asking me again. That's what I wanted. And it's functioning well. That's it, guys. With that, our solution is complete. I hope you appreciate my approach to solve the problem. My bachelor's degree is the polar opposite of coding. So if I can do this, then I think anyone should be able to do it. I'll continue to post solutions of each problem set, and you can follow along and consider me as an accountability companion as we travel through a not so easy road. Thank you for watching, and may you have a good day.